The hour passed slowly as both sides prepared for battle. The alien fleet moved into attack formation like hungry wolves, surrounding a single sheep. Fleet Commander Zeklor could not understand why the humans were not afraid. His species had been warriors for millions of years, and they had never lost a fight. Lieutenant Colonel Park Sung-woo sat at the weapons station with his hands steady on the controls. He had trained for 15 years to use the quantum disruptor, the most powerful weapon humans had ever built. The weapon could destroy matter at the atomic level, making things simply disappear from existence. The alien ships spread out in a circle around the Defiance with their weapons pointed at the human vessel. Each alien ship was twice as big as the human ship and carried enough firepower to destroy a small moon. The aliens thought numbers and size would guarantee their victory. Lee Hyun stood in the center of his bridge, watching his crew work with calm efficiency. Everyone knew their job, and they trusted each other completely. This was what made humans different from other species. They worked together as a team instead of just following orders from fear. Dr. Kang Soo-jin monitored the alien ship positions and confirmed they were using standard Dominion battle tactics. The aliens had used the same attack patterns for thousands of years because they always worked against weaker enemies. But humans had studied these patterns and found their weaknesses. Song Jae-min kept the Defiance in the exact position Dr. Kang had calculated for maximum effect. The human ship looked small and helpless in the center of the alien formation, but it was actually in the perfect spot to demonstrate why Earth had spent decades preparing for this moment. The alien commanders opened communication channels so they could mock the humans before destroying them. Zeklor laughed and said humans were the most foolish species he had ever encountered. He promised to keep a few humans alive as pets to entertain his soldiers, but Park Nari had been monitoring alien communications and discovered something important. The aliens were broadcasting this battle to their homeworlds as entertainment. They wanted other species to watch, humans being destroyed as a warning against resistance. Intelligence Officer Jang Hae Young realized this gave them a huge opportunity. If they could win this battle in front of the entire galaxy, it would inspire enslaved species everywhere to fight back against the Dominion. The stakes were much higher than just one battle. Choi Min-ho reported that all ship systems were operating at peak efficiency. The quantum reactors were producing more energy than the aliens thought possible, and the new shield generators could absorb almost unlimited damage. The Defiance was ready for anything major. Oh Tae-kyung watched the alien ships through the tactical display and noticed they were getting overconfident. The aliens were moving closer because they thought the humans were trapped. Some alien ships had even lowered their shields to save power for weapons. Dr. Bay So Young monitored crew vital signs and found that everyone was completely calm and focused. The human heart rate and breathing patterns showed they were ready for combat, while alien bio readings showed increasing excitement and bloodlust. The first alien ship to attack was a Zentari cruiser covered in sharp spikes and weapon ports. The insect-like aliens fired energy beams that could melt through solid rock. The beams hit the Defiant shields and simply bounced off like raindrops hitting a window. More alien ships joined the attack, firing missiles and plasma bolts and exotic weapons the humans had never seen before. The space around the Defiance lit up like a star as dozens of weapons struck the human shields. The attack was so intense that nearby asteroids were vaporized by stray shots. When the light faded, the Defiance floated in space completely undamaged. Not even a scratch marked its hull. The human shields had absorbed or deflected every single attack without any strain on the ship systems. The aliens stared in disbelief, unable to understand what they had just seen. Lee Hyun smiled and gave the order. His crew had been waiting for. Park Sung-woo activated the quantum disruptor and targeted the largest Vorthak battleship. The weapon charged for 3 seconds with a sound like reality itself tearing apart. The beam that shot from the Defiance was not bright or flashy like alien weapons. Instead, it looked like empty space moving in a straight line toward the enemy ship. When the beam touched the Vorthak battleship, something impossible happened. The alien ship did not explode or burn or break apart. Instead, it simply ceased to exist. One moment. There was a massive warship with 3,000 alien soldiers aboard. The next moment, there was nothing but empty space where the ship had been. Dr. Kang reported that her sensors could not detect any debris or energy signature from the destroyed ship. The quantum disruptor had unmade the alien vessel at the subatomic level, erasing it from reality as if it had never existed at all. The silence that followed was complete. Every alien ship stopped moving and stopped transmitting. The alien commanders could not believe what their eyes had shown them. No weapon in galactic history had ever done anything like this. Zeklor's voice cracked as he demanded an explanation. His own sensors confirmed that the battleship was gone, but his mind refused to accept it. The Vorthak had built weapons that could crack planets, but they had never seen technology that could erase matter from existence. The Zentari sub-commander Klicksack transmitted, in panic asking how humans had developed quantum manipulation. The insect aliens controlled most galactic science, and they knew such technology should be impossible for a primitive species. But Choi Min-ho knew the truth. Earth scientists had not followed alien research paths. Instead, they had approached physics problems in completely new ways. While the Dominion was comfortable with old technology, humans had been pushing the boundaries of what was possible. Park. Nari intercepted frantic alien communications as news of the impossible weapons spread across their fleet. Some alien ships wanted to retreat immediately, while others demanded revenge for their destroyed comrades. The alien unity was starting to crack. Lieutenant Yun Da. Yun prepared additional weapons as the aliens began to regroup. She had missiles that could track targets across entire star systems and energy weapons that could punch through any known armor. The humans were just getting started. Dr. Bay monitored the psychological effects of their demonstration on both crews. Human confidence was increasing while alien morale was collapsing. Many alien soldiers were questioning whether they could win against weapons that violated everything they understood. The galaxy watched in amazement as one human ship had just done something no one thought possible. They had destroyed a Dominion battleship with a single shot using technology that seemed like magic. Even enslaved species who hated humans were impressed. Lee Hyun opened communications to the alien fleet and spoke in a calm voice. He told them this was just a demonstration of human capabilities. He offered them one more chance to leave the system peacefully before Earth showed them what their other weapons could do. The alien commanders faced a choice they had never had to make before. For the first time in their history, the Dominion fleet was not sure they could win a battle. The alien commander who appeared on their screen was the most frightening creature any human had ever seen. Fleet Commander Zeklor was 7 feet tall with dark green scales that looked like armor. His yellow eyes glowed like fire, and his mouth had rows of sharp teeth like a shark. When he moved his head, the crew could see old battle scars across his neck and face. Zeklor had fought in over 100 battles across the galaxy. He had destroyed entire civilizations and turned proud species into slaves. His uniform was covered with medals made from the bones of his enemies. The other aliens feared him, and even his own soldiers were scared when he gave orders. Lee Hyun looked at this monster and felt no fear at all. He had trained his whole life for this moment. Earth had prepared him to face creatures like this. The captain stood straight and tall in his blue uniform while his crew watched from their stations. Everyone on the bridge was ready to follow their captain into battle. The key. Alien commander spoke in a voice that sounded like grinding metal mixed with the roar of a wild animal. The computer translated his words into English, but even the translation sounded threatening and full of hate. Zeklor told the humans they were now prisoners of the Dominion Empire. Zeklor explained how the Dominion worked. 3 powerful alien species ruled the galaxy together. The Vorthak were the soldiers, and they loved war and conquest. The Zentari were bug-like creatures who controlled all trade and money. The Luminous were beings made of pure energy who served as judges and made the laws. For over 2,000 years, these 3 species had conquered every other race they found. Some aliens became slaves who worked in mines and factories. Others were completely destroyed if they fought back too hard. The Dominion had never lost a war, and they controlled thousands of star systems. The alien commander told Lee Hyun that Earth would be inspected by Dominion scientists. They would decide if humans were useful as workers or if they should be eliminated completely. Either way, Earth would have to pay tribute every year, giving the Dominion food, metal, and anything else they wanted. Park Nari listened to alien radio signals and heard them talking to each other. The aliens were very interested in how humans looked and acted. They had never seen a species quite like people from Earth. Some aliens thought humans looked weak, but others noticed their advanced technology. Dr. Kang Soo-jin studied the alien ships through her instruments and made an important discovery. The Dominion had been using the same technology for thousands of years. They never tried to invent new things because they were comfortable being the strongest. They thought no one could ever challenge them. Intelligence Officer Jang Hae-young found something very interesting in the alien communications. The aliens were sending detailed reports about humans back to their homeworlds. They were describing human appearance, weapons, and ship design. This meant they had never seen anything like the Defiance before. Song Jae-min quietly moved their ship to a better position, while the aliens were busy talking. He followed a plan that Dr. Kang had made based on her study of alien tactics. The aliens always surrounded enemy ships in the same pattern because it had worked for them for centuries. Lee Hyun listened to all of Zeklor's demands and then smiled. The alien commander was confused because most species begged for mercy at this point. Instead, the human captain looked calm and confident, like he was not worried about 47 alien warships pointing weapons at his single ship. Lieutenant Yoon Da-woon was excited because she could see the alien ship formations on her tactical display. The aliens were doing exactly what Earth military scientists had predicted they would do. The Dominion always used overwhelming force and intimidation to make enemies surrender without fighting. Choi Min-ho reported from the engine room that their quantum reactors were running at full power. The Defiance had enough energy to power a small city, and all of it could be channeled into weapons or shields. The alien ships around them had no idea what they were really facing. Major Oh Tae-kyung positioned his security teams throughout the ship in case aliens tried to board them. His soldiers had trained with weapons designed specifically to fight different types of alien creatures. They were ready for anything the Dominion could send against them. Dr. Bae So-young monitored the crew's stress levels and found that everyone was actually getting calmer as the situation became more dangerous. This was exactly what Earth psychologists had predicted. Humans performed better under pressure while most aliens became confused and made mistakes. The alien commander grew angry when Lee Hyun did not immediately surrender. Zeklor had conquered hundreds of species, and they all reacted the same way first. Fear, then begging, then hopeless acceptance. But these humans seemed different, and it made him uncomfortable. Other alien ships joined the conversation, and the humans could see different types of creatures on their screens. The Zentari looked like giant insects with multiple eyes and clicking mouths. The Luminous appeared as floating balls of colored light that pulsed when they talked. All of these aliens had one thing in common. They expected humans to be afraid and to give up without fighting. They had ruled the galaxy for so long that they could not imagine anyone challenging their power. The idea that one human ship might actually fight back seemed impossible to them. Lee Hyun finally spoke, and his words shocked every alien who heard them. The captain said that humans did not surrender to anyone. He said that Earth claimed this star system as human territory and that the Dominion fleet should leave immediately or face the consequences. The aliens could not believe what they were. Hearing no species had ever spoken to the Dominion this way, the last race that tried to resist had been completely destroyed and their planets turned into glass. The aliens thought these humans must be insane or too stupid to understand the situation, but Parknari was receiving new information from her instruments. She detected that more human ships were approaching the system. The aliens did not know this yet, because human stealth technology was far better than anything the Dominion had ever seen. Conversation between Li Hyun and the alien commanders was being broadcast across the galaxy. Enslaved species on thousands of worlds were secretly listening to the transmission. Many of them had never heard anyone speak to the Dominion with such confidence and courage. Li Hyun ended the communication by telling the aliens they had 1 hour to leave the system peacefully. After that, Earth would consider them hostile invaders and respond accordingly. The alien commanders were so shocked they could not speak for several minutes. The crew of the Defiance prepared for the battle that was about to begin. They knew they were about to make history. Captain Li Hyun felt his heart beating fast as he looked out at the stars through the big window of his ship. The stars looked different here, far away from Earth. The computer voice told him they had arrived in the Kepler system after traveling. For 3 months through hyperspace, the UES Defiance was the biggest ship humans had ever built. It was 3 kilometers long and had weapons that could destroy entire planets. The ship was black and silver and looked like a giant sword floating in space. Li Hyun had trained for 10 years to command this ship, and now the moment had finally come. Communications officer Parknari sat at her station with sweat on her hands. Her screen was lighting up with messages from alien ships all around. The messages came in strange languages that their computer was trying to understand. Parknari had never heard alien voices before, and they sounded scary and angry. The ship computer told them there were 47 alien ships in the system. Most of them were near a big mining station that looked like a metal city floating in space. The aliens had been digging metals and crystals from the planets here for hundreds of years. Now they saw a human ship in their territory, and they did not like it. Li Hyun walked around his bridge looking at his crew. These were the best people Earth could find. Navigation officer. Song Jae-min was only 25, but he could fly the ship through any danger. Science officer Dr. Kang Soo-jin knew more about alien technology than anyone on Earth. Tactical officer Lieutenant Yoon Da-yoon had practiced shooting with their new weapons for 2 years. The bridge was full of screens and buttons and lights. Li Hyun sat in his captain chair, which was in the middle of everything. From here, he could see all his officers working. The chair was comfortable, but he felt nervous. This was the first time humans had come so far from home, and they did not know what would happen. Engineer Choi Min-ho called from the engine room to say their quantum drives were working perfectly. These drives let them travel faster than light and use energy in ways the aliens had never seen. The engines made a low humming sound that Li Hyun found comforting. It meant they could run away if things went badly. Intelligence officer Jang Hya-young was listening to alien radio signals. She told Li Hyun that the aliens were very surprised to see them. The aliens called humans a new species and were sending information about the human ship back to their home planets. The aliens thought humans were weak because they had never seen them before. Dr. Kang Soo-jin studied her science instruments and found something interesting. The alien ships used technology that was very old. The aliens had not made new inventions for thousands of years. They kept using the same weapons and engines because they were comfortable with them. This gave humans a big advantage. Parknari suddenly stood up and said the aliens were trying to talk to them. A big alien ship was coming closer. It was shaped like a triangle and had red lights all over it. The ship was twice as big as the Defiance and looked very dangerous. Li Hyun told Parknari to open communications so they could hear what the aliens wanted to say. The main screen lit up and showed an alien creature that looked like a big lizard. The alien had green scales and yellow eyes and sharp teeth. When it talked, its voice sounded like metal scraping against stone. The alien wore a uniform with medals and symbols that showed it was important. Lee Hyun stood up straight and looked at the alien commander. He had practiced this moment many times, but seeing a real alien was different than he expected. The alien looked angry and dangerous, but Lee Hyun was not afraid. Earth had sent him here to do a job, and he would do it no matter what happened. The crew watched their captain talk to the first alien they had ever seen. Everyone was quiet and focused. They knew this conversation would decide what happened next. Some of them might die today, but they were ready to fight for Earth and for all the humans back home. Lieutenant Yoon Da-yoon checked her weapons systems. The ship had lasers that could cut through anything and missiles that could blow up moons. They also had the quantum disruptor, which was their secret weapon. No alien had ever seen technology like this, and Yoon Da-eun was excited to show them what humans could do. Song Jae-min looked at his navigation screens and saw more alien ships coming from other parts of the system. Soon there would be over 50 alien ships surrounding them, but the Defiance was not trapped. Song Jae-min had already calculated 17 different escape routes if they needed to run away quickly. Security Chief Major Oh Tae-kyung walked around the bridge, making sure everyone was ready for battle. His soldiers were at their stations throughout the ship, ready to fight if aliens tried to board. Oh Tae-kyung had fought in wars on Earth, and he was not scared of alien soldiers. Medical Officer Dr. Bae. So Young prepared her medical bay for injured crew members. She hoped no one would get hurt, but she was ready for anything. Dr. Bae had medicine and equipment that could save lives even if the ship was badly damaged. She had volunteered for this mission because she wanted to help explore space. The alien commander on the screen started talking, and his words made Lee Hyun angry. The alien said humans had to surrender and become slaves. The alien said human Earth would have to give tribute money and resources every year. The alien acted like humans were just another weak species to be conquered. But Lee Hyun smiled because the alien did not know what humans were really like. Earth had spent 50 years preparing for this day. They had built weapons that could destroy stars and shields that could stop any attack. They had studied every piece of alien technology they could find and learned how to make better versions. The other crew members looked at their captain and saw his confident smile. They felt proud to serve under Lee Hyun and proud to represent all of humanity in this first meeting with aliens. They were about to show the galaxy that humans were not weak and would never be slaves to anyone. Park. Nari recorded everything the aliens said so scientists on Earth could study it later. Dr. Kang analyzed the alien ship designs and found weaknesses they could use in battle. Choi Min-ho made sure their engines were ready to give maximum power to weapons and shields. The moment had come for humanity to announce itself to the galaxy. Lee Hyun was ready to give the aliens an answer they would never forget. The crew of the Defiance was about to make history and change the future of every human who would ever live. News of the impossible human weapon traveled faster than light across the galaxy through the Dominion communication network. Within hours, every alien civilization knew that a single human ship had made a Vorthak battleship simply vanish from existence. The galaxy had never seen anything like it. On the mining stations of the Helix, Nebula-enslaved workers whispered about the aliens who had challenged the Dominion. The Kelrani bird people stopped their digging to share rumors about the ship that could erase matter from reality. The crystalline Vex passed the story through their hive minds faster than any computer network. In the industrial complexes of the core world's production lines slowed as workers discussed what they had heard. Slave. Species who had never dared to hope began to wonder if the Dominion could actually be defeated. The Thalassy water dwellers sent secret signals through ocean currents on dozens of worlds. Fleet Admiral Vorthak. Supreme Gorlax was the highest military commander in all of Dominion space. He had conquered more worlds than any other alien in history. His office walls were covered with the flags of destroyed civilizations, and his desk was made from the bones of enemy leaders when the news reached him. Gorlax could not believe the reports. A single primitive ship had destroyed one of his best battleships with an unknown weapon type. His subordinates assured him the sensor data was accurate, but his mind struggled to accept the impossible truth. The Luminous Collective Emergency Council meeting brought together energy beings from across the galaxy. These ancient creatures had existed for millions of years and thought they understood every possible form of technology, but the human quantum disruptor violated all known laws of physics. Hive Queen Zilkara of the Zentari called for immediate military action from her throne room made of living crystal. She controlled trade routes worth billions and could not allow any threat to dominion. Authority. Her insect soldiers buzzed with agitation as they prepared for war. But on the bridge of the Defiance, something unexpected was happening. Communications Officer Park Nari reported receiving transmissions from dozens of enslaved species across the galaxy. The messages were coming in through secret channels the aliens had developed to avoid Dominion detection. The Kelrani resistance movement sent coordinates of Dominion weapon depots they could sabotage. The Vex Collective offered to disrupt communication networks they had been forced to maintain. The aquatic Thalassa promised to attack underwater bases on ocean worlds. Dr. Kongsu. Jin realized they had accidentally triggered something much bigger than a first contact scenario. Her analysis of the alien historical databases showed that over 50 species had been conquered by the Dominion in just the past 500 years alone. Many of these enslaved races still maintained underground resistance movements they had been waiting for generations for any sign that the Dominion could be challenged. The human demonstration had given them hope that their oppressors were not invincible after all. Security Chief Major Oh Tai-kyung worked with Intelligence Officer Jang Hee-young to verify these communications. They discovered that several alien species had been secretly studying human probe transmissions for months, learning Earth languages and customs. The enslaved aliens had been trying to understand how one small planet had developed such advanced technology in isolation. Some species had even built hidden monitoring stations to watch human activities in nearby star systems. Lee Hyun realized that Earth careful plans for a limited engagement had suddenly become a galaxy-wide revolution. The Defiance was no longer just announcing humanity arrival. It had become a symbol of hope for countless oppressed worlds. Park Nari continued receiving messages from across the galaxy. The Zerathi plant. People offered to poison Dominion food supplies. The Mechanical Nexus Collective promised to hack into alien computer systems. The gaseous ethereals could infiltrate any facility through ventilation systems. Each message included intelligence about Dominion military positions, supply lines, and weak points that resistance fighters had been cataloging for decades. The enslaved species had been preparing for rebellion. They just needed someone strong enough to lead the fight. Dr. Kang analyzed the tactical information and realized the Dominion was much more vulnerable than they appeared. Their empire was held together by fear and intimidation, but they had few actual military bases in most systems. If multiple worlds rebelled simultaneously, the aliens could not respond everywhere. Choi Min-ho reported that more human ships were approaching the Kepler system. Admiral Kim Tae-won had dispatched additional fleets when the first reports reached Earth. The humans were no longer fighting. Alone against impossible odds, Intelligence Officer Jang Hee-young intercepted Dominion military communications, showing panic in their command structure. The alien leaders had never faced a situation like this. Their entire strategy was based on overwhelming force against helpless enemies. Fleet Admiral Gorlax was trying to coordinate a response, but his commanders were asking questions he could not answer. How many more human ships existed? What other impossible weapons did they possess? Could the Dominion actually lose this war? The Luminous Collective began analyzing every piece of data about human technology, But their energy-based thinking could not comprehend how solid matter species had developed quantum manipulation. The humans approached science in ways that made no sense to alien minds. Song Jae-min detected massive fleet movements throughout Dominion space. The aliens were pulling ships from garrison duties and peaceful sectors to mass their forces for a decisive battle. But this left many worlds with reduced defenses, just as rebellions were starting. Lieutenant Yoon Da-un studied the intelligence reports from enslaved species and identified key targets for human forces if they could destroy the right facilities. Simultaneously, they could cripple Dominion logistics across multiple sectors. The galactic communication networks buzzed with activity as news of the human demonstration spread to every inhabited world. Some species still loyal to the Dominion expressed disbelief, while others began quietly withdrawing their support, Dr. Bay. So Young monitored crew stress levels and found that everyone was excited rather than nervous. The humans had come to space expecting to fight alone for survival. Instead, they had found an entire galaxy of potential allies waiting for liberation. Major Oh Tae-kyung coordinated with resistance movements to plan synchronized attacks. His experience with guerrilla warfare on Earth translated perfectly to galactic-scale operations. The principles of asymmetric conflict were the same regardless of the battlefield. The Defiance had started as one ship making first contact with hostile aliens. Now it was the flagship of a growing rebellion that spanned thousands of star systems. Lee Hyun understood that humanity had accidentally become the spark that would ignite galactic revolution. Park. Nari received a message that made everyone on the bridge stop what they were doing. The transmission came from a Dominion world where human prisoners were being held. The message was simple but powerful. It said, "Thank you for giving us hope." The galaxy was about to change forever, and humans were at the center of the transformation. Fleet Commander Zeklor had never retreated from any battle in his long military career. The idea of running from a single enemy ship went against everything his warrior culture believed. But he was also smart enough to know when he faced an enemy he did not understand. The Second Battle of Kepler began when Zeklor made the decision that would define the rest of the war. He ordered all 46 remaining ships to attack the Defiance simultaneously with everything they had. The Dominion had always ruled through overwhelming force, and he saw no reason to change tactics. Now Lieutenant Yoon Da-un watched her tactical displays as the alien fleet moved into attack formation. The aliens were doing exactly what Earth military analysts had predicted they would do. When faced with superior technology, the Dominion always responded with greater numbers and firepower. The alien ships opened fire at the same moment, creating a sphere of destruction around the human vessel. Energy beams that could melt asteroids, kinetic projectiles moving at half the speed of light, and exotic weapons. Humanity was still learning to identify all converged on the Defiance. For 30 seconds, the human ship disappeared completely inside a ball of devastating firepower that would have vaporized anything the Dominion had ever encountered. The energy release was so intense that it lit up the entire star system and could be seen from planets light years away. When the barrage ended, the aliens expected to see nothing but scattered debris floating in space. Instead, the Defiance emerged from the attack completely unharmed. Its hull gleamed like new metal and its weapon ports glowed with ready energy. Engineer Choi Min-ho reported from the engine room that their quantum shields had absorbed, deflected, or negated every single attack. The power drain had been minimal, and all ship systems were operating at full capacity. The aliens had just wasted their best opening move, Dr. Bay, So Young confirmed. 0 casualties among the crew and no damage to any ship systems. The humans had just survived the most concentrated attack in galactic military history without losing a single person. The alien fleet stared in disbelief at their failure, but the real shock came when Navigation Officer Song Jae-min activated the ship's secondary systems. The Defiance suddenly split into 7 identical vessels, each one radiating the same energy signature and weapon capabilities as the original ship. The aliens found themselves facing not one impossible human ship, but an entire squadron that had materialized from nowhere. Each vessel looked exactly like the original Defiance, complete with the same quantum weapons and impenetrable shields. Lee Hyun smiled as he watched the alien confusion on his screens. The ship multiplication system was one of Earth's newest inventions, using quantum entanglement to create temporary but fully functional duplicates. Each copy was as real and dangerous as the original. The all 7 human ships moved in perfect coordination as if controlled by a single mind. The aliens tried to track which ship was the original, but their sensors could not tell the difference. Every vessel showed identical readings and responded to threats. With equal capability, Zeklor's voice shook as he tried to coordinate his fleet response. His tactical officers reported that their targeting systems could not lock onto the human ships properly. The quantum signatures were interfering with alien technology in ways they had never experienced. Meanwhile, across the galaxy, the impossible news triggered uprisings on dozens of worlds. The Kelrani resistance launched coordinated attacks on Dominion bases throughout their home system using weapons they had hidden for generations. The crystalline Vex began systematically disrupting communication networks they had been forced to maintain. Their hive mind allowed them to coordinate attacks across multiple star systems, simultaneously crippling Dominion. Command and control on the water world of Thalassos. The aquatic natives attacked underwater military bases that the Dominion thought were secret. The aliens had never suspected that the native ocean dwellers had been watching and planning for Century's fleet. Admiral Gorlax arrived in the Kepler system with 200 additional ships, only to discover that half his original fleet had been systematically disabled. The human vessels had used weapons that seemed to ignore Dominion shields entirely. Quantum disruptors fired in sequence, erasing alien ships from existence with mathematical precision. Each shot removed exactly one enemy vessel from reality, leaving no trace that it had ever existed. The aliens watched their comrades simply vanish. Dr. Kang Soo-jin coordinated the attack patterns based on her analysis of alien fleet formations. The humans were not just winning, they were demonstrating that every assumption the Dominion had made about warfare was fundamentally wrong intelligence. Officer Jang Ha-young intercepted communications from Dominion commanders across the galaxy. They were demanding answers their scientists could not provide. How had one primitive species developed technology that surpassed civilizations thousands of years older? The answer was simple, but the aliens could not understand it. Humanity had never accepted that limits could not be overcome. While the Dominion grew comfortable with their superiority, humans had spent decades pushing beyond what anyone thought possible. Park Nari received reports that 3 more human fleets were approaching the battle zone. Admiral Kim Tae-won had committed Earth's entire space navy to this engagement. The humans were not just making a statement, they were fighting. To win, each new human fleet brought weapons and technology that made the Defiance seem primitive. By comparison, Earth military development had accelerated rapidly once they knew hostile aliens existed in the galaxy. Major Oh Tae-kyung coordinated with resistance fighters across dozens of worlds to time their attacks perfectly. As human fleets engaged, Dominion forces in space, enslaved populations struck at ground bases and supply depots. The rebellion spread faster than Dominion forces could respond. Worlds that had been peaceful for centuries suddenly erupted in coordinated uprisings. Species that had accepted slavery for generations remembered what freedom felt like. Lieutenant Colonel Park Sung-woo continued targeting alien ships. With methodical precision, each quantum disruptor shot was calculated for maximum psychological impact. The aliens watched their most powerful vessels simply cease to exist. Song Jae-min maneuvered the 7 human ships through the alien formation, like dancers performing a deadly ballet. The Dominion had never faced enemies who could move with such coordination and purpose. The battle that had started as a simple first contact scenario had become the opening engagement of the greatest war. In galactic history, the Dominion 3 species empire was facing challenges on every front simultaneously. Choi Min-ho reported that human manufacturing ships were already building new vessels from asteroid materials in the outer system. The humans could replace their losses faster than the aliens could count them. Dr. Bay monitored the psychological effects of the battle on both sides. Human confidence continued to climb while alien morale collapsed. Some Dominion ships were already requesting permission to withdraw from combat. The galaxy watched in amazement as the impossible became routine. Human technology was rewriting the rules of warfare, and the enslaved populations were responding with hope they had not felt for generations. Lee Hyun realized that humanity had passed the point of no return. They were no longer just protecting Earth. They were leading a galactic revolution that would reshape civilization itself. The age of Dominion rule was ending, and the age of galactic freedom was about to begin. 6 months after the Defiance first appeared in Dominion space, the galaxy had been completely transformed. The 3-species rule that had lasted for over 2,000 years was crumbling faster than anyone had thought possible. Captain Lee Hyun now stood on the bridge of the UES Unity Humanity, newest and most advanced diplomatic flagship. The ship was twice as large as the original Defiance and served as the mobile headquarters for the growing Galactic Liberation Alliance. The revolution had spread to over 300 star systems as enslaved species declared independence faster than Dominion forces could respond. Human fleets served as the backbone of multi-species task forces that included former slaves fighting alongside. Their liberators, Lee Hyun commanded a fleet of 47 vessels, but each human ship now carried crews from dozens of different species. The bridge of the Unity buzzed with the sounds of translated conversations as humans worked alongside Kelrani, Vex Thalasi, and countless other liberated peoples. The Dominion Council held their final meeting in the ruins of their capital city on Vorthak Prime. Fleet Admiral Gorlax sat in his damaged throne room surrounded by the shattered symbols of his empire. His scales were scarred from battles he could not win. Beside him, the energy beings of the Luminous Collective flickered weakly, their ancient confidence broken by encounters with human technology they could not understand. Hive Queen Zilkara of the Zentari clicked her mandibles nervously as reports arrived of another dozen worlds joining the rebellion. They had lost over 70% of their territory to human-led fleets that seemed to multiply every time they appeared in a new system. The remaining Dominion forces were scattered and demoralized, unable to coordinate an effective response. But the humans had not come as conquerors seeking to replace one empire with another. Dr. Kang Soo-jin now served as Earth Chief Diplomatic, officer leading missions that offered former Dominion species a simple choice: join the Galactic Federation as equals or remain neutral in protected space. The new Federation was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Species that had been enemies for millennia worked together on joint projects. Former slaves became leaders and teachers, sharing their knowledge with the humans who had freed them. Only those aliens who had committed serious crimes against enslaved populations faced justice. And even then, humanity insisted on trials rather than executions. The humans understood that building a better galaxy required healing old wounds rather than creating new ones on Earth. Admiral Kim Tae-won addressed the United Nations as he revealed the truth about humanity, technological advancement. For 50 years, Earth governments had been secretly preparing for the day when they would encounter hostile alien civilizations. They had assumed that any species capable of interstellar travel would be far more advanced than humanity. So Earth scientists had focused on developing weapons and defenses that could overcome superior numbers and technology through innovation rather than raw power. The result was a military doctrine based on making the impossible seem routine. Every human ship carried weapons that could destroy planets, shields that could withstand the explosion of stars, and manufacturing systems that could build new fleets from raw materials. They had prepared for the worst-case scenario and discovered that their paranoia had made them the most technologically advanced species in the galaxy. The aliens had grown comfortable with their dominance while humans had never stopped pushing boundaries. Communications. Officer Park Nari, who was now promoted to commander, established the first galactic communication network. The system allowed instant translation between over 300 different species, languages, and dialects for the first time in galactic history. Every intelligent species could communicate directly with every other species. The galaxy had never been more connected, and that connection was based on cooperation rather than the fear and intimidation of the old Dominion. The new network carried stories and ideas between worlds that had never been able to share their cultures before. Art, music, literature, and scientific discoveries flowed freely across space, creating a renaissance of creativity and knowledge. Song Jae-min now served as Director of Galactic Navigation, coordinating the movement of ships between thousands of star systems. The new Federation needed massive logistics support to function, and humans had become the experts at moving resources efficiently. Lieutenant Yoon Da-yoon led the Federation Defense Force training multi-species crews to use advanced human weapons. The former slaves learned quickly, and many showed natural talents that surprised their human instructors. The Defense Force was not designed for conquest, but for protection, ensuring that no species would ever again face the threat of enslavement or extermination. The galaxy had learned that freedom required constant vigilance. Choi Min-ho directed the construction of massive shipyards. In asteroid belts throughout Federation space, the new facilities could build vessels for any species using their preferred designs enhanced with human technology. Intelligence Officer Jang Hye Young established the Federation Intelligence Service, not to spy on member species, but to identify remaining threats and locate populations that still needed liberation. Major Oh Tae-kyung trained security forces from dozens of worlds, teaching them how to protect their newfound freedom. The former slaves were eager students who understood the value of what they had gained. Dr. Bae So Young created the Galactic Medical Corps, combining human medicine with healing techniques from hundreds of different species. The result was medical knowledge that could treat injuries and diseases that had never been curable before. The Corps provided free medical care to any species that requested it, helping to heal not just physical wounds, but the psychological trauma of generations of oppression. Captain Lee Hyun stood on the observation deck of the Unity, watching as representatives from 87 different species worked together to draft the Galactic Charter. The document would establish the principles that would guide the new Federation. The Charter guaranteed freedom, self-determination, and protection from aggression for every member species. It also established procedures for peaceful resolution of disputes and cooperative exploration of unknown regions of space. Humanity had come to the stars expecting to fight for survival against hostile aliens. Instead, they had discovered that their greatest victory was teaching the galaxy that no one had to accept oppression as inevitable. The former Dominion worlds were given the choice to join the Federation or remain independent. Most chose to join after seeing how former slave species thrived under the new system. The Vorthak, who had been the most aggressive of the Dominion species, found new purpose as Federation peacekeepers, using their warrior culture to protect rather than conquer. The Zentari discovered that free trade was more profitable than exploitation and became enthusiastic supporters of the new economic system. Even some of the Luminous Collective chose to share their ancient knowledge with younger species, helping to advance galactic science and philosophy. The galaxy still faced challenges. Exploration ships reported unknown threats in distant regions, and some former Dominion holdouts continued to resist. But for the first time in millennia, the dominant force in galactic civilization was cooperation rather than conquest. Li Hyun watched the charter signing ceremony. He reflected on how much had changed. The crew of the Defiance had expected to make first contact with hostile aliens. Instead, they had sparked a revolution that freed billions of sentient beings. The age of the Dominion was over. The age of the Galactic Federation had begun, and humanity had learned that sometimes the best way to protect your own world is to free everyone else.